Welcome to the Entrepreneur's Toolbox podcast, where we interview amazing entrepreneurs. So bunker down and don't miss a second of it. I want to welcome today's guest. She's an amazing creator on YouTube, Pinterest, and a blogger. She's the co-founder of the rising YouTuber Clubhouse Club. Let me welcome JJ Ghatt.
Hi. Hey, welcome. Thanks so much, Jonathan, for that great welcome. Appreciate it.
Yeah. So JJ, we were talking about how you're a creator on YouTube, Pinterest, Clubhouse. Um, I wanted to know what was your why for getting started? What was like the catalyst, the reasoning why you got started? Because I know that a lot of us, we talk about doing things, we talk about being creatives, actually creating content and creating an online business. But what was your why on actually, trying to, build this business on actually so many platforms?
Okay, so it was organic. So unlike I know some people start off being creators or just having a digital online based business because they plan it and then they, have a goal and a mission and then they study it and they do research and then they do perhaps a little mini business plan and they start creating, buying equipment, hiring out staff, taking courses, learning as much about what they want to do before they actually launch and then they launch it. So for me, it was not that, or it was more organic. I do like the folks who actually plan. My sister, who I co-founded the Rise of YouTuber Club with, she started her YouTuber journey actually doing what you're supposed to do, is to actually learn the platform, learn from the people and the masters who've already actually have channels similar to the one that she wanted to start. So she cannot, sort of repeat mistakes of other YouTubers who've come before her. So for me, it started organically. I have a journalism background, so I went to college for journalism. In high school, I was on a yearbook team. So I've always loved just telling stories. I've always loved reporting. My dad jokes that I talk too much. As a child, I used to talk to myself in the mirror and answer back. It's so interesting because my daughter, my little mini breakdown before I came here, she's 13. She does the same thing. And my son, whose room I'm in, they just talk to themselves. And there's studies that say people who talk to themselves actually are geniuses. But I've always talked to myself. I talked a lot. My dad used to say, you should go to law school. But I told him, no, I want to be a journalist. I want to, I want to tell stories. I want to relay stories. I want to be the one to bring dynamic, bring people together through information. So that's always been my passion. So I started in journalism school. Eventually I went to law school and practiced law for a while, but I came back to it doing about maybe 10 years of, maybe more 10 years ago. Now I'm looking like, oh my God, 12 years ago, I returned to it when there was an administration in the United States started and they wanted to get more diversity in the newsrooms, diversity in the White House briefing room. And so that was my return back to sort of, storytelling. I had several blogs that I had created for my, personal blogs for myself or parenting blogs that they were existing and doing pretty well. But in terms of returning to the world of journalism, came back when I had the opportunity to actually do some reporting for various different news outlets for, covering the Obama administration. So that was my foray back. So naturally, when that ended, I just went, then there was next thing there was the pandemic. And like a lot of people who started their channels or started use the pandemic to take something off a shelf that they had put shelved away because the world was open. There were things to do outside. I decided to take a channel a YouTube channel that I had just created, had a bunch of stuff on it, and reinvigorate that and turn it into a Pinterest marketing channel because Pinterest was the platform for my blog properties I mentioned earlier that nurtured it the most. And it was undergoing a shift in algorithm, and the shift was causing massive disruption in the industry amongst those of us who use Pinterest to promote our business, grow traffic, promote our YouTube channel, our podcast, Shopify store, Etsy stores. And, people just saw a lot of the traffic drop. So organically, again, without really thinking or planning, this is something that'd be I can make money off of this. I thought, oh, let me just go. And if I did figure things out, I'll share it on the YouTube channel. And so it started to grow, and I slowly became like a little Pinterest expert on YouTube. There's not that many of us on there. And so that's essentially my foray from, into doing all of this. It's like it was organically, the chips just fell as they lay, as they may, for that phrase before. It wasn't as planned as I think it was like accidental.
A lot of us, that's accidental. We find our way into something just by happenstance, you know? And
Yeah.
I think that, but we have to take advantage of those opportunities.
Right.
There's so many people that like they're, hey, go and do this, go and do this. But, you know, so many people will know they have to do something,
Right.
but they're not going to do it. Like, for instance, I know I should probably be on Pinterest. I know I've seen
Right.
how you're doing it, but it is like this mystery to me. And that's part of the reason why it's so valuable to have creators like you on YouTube and on Pinterest and on Clubhouse. I know you have all those different places that you hang out, and your blog that,
Right.
you know, we're able to learn from those people like you that are doing that. So how is actually using Pinterest marketing? Like, I mean, again, it's like a complete mystery to me. Like, how have you actually been able to use that to grow your business and, you know, spread that to all the other things that you're doing?
Okay, I'm glad you're asking because I'm actually returning to it really soon. What happened is again, YouTube is sort of like was a diversion, or you know you're on your path and you're doing one thing, and then in the course of history of my life in business and practice, I've done lots of things in my life, a lot of different interesting and dynamic things, been a lot of places and done some amazing things. But recently, I find myself, chasing the shiny objects in my digital world because there's so many amazing things, or you see so many different wonderful creations, and you also get distracted by people's success stories, and you want to chase the success stories and be like, oh, I want to be like that. Or, I think I'm good on camera. I think I can relate to people. Or I think I have a story to tell, so I'm going to do that. So in terms of for Pinterest, I'm returning back to Pinterest now. It's a long way of saying that's why I'm returning to Pinterest. So how I've used Pinterest for my businesses is that because it's a search platform, unlike other social platform, even though people classify Pinterest as a social media platform similar to like Snap, TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, in actuality, it's more of a search engine. It's the third largest search engine in the world. So Google is number one, YouTube is number two, Pinterest is number three. So because of that, anyone who's in business, anyone who's doing anything where they're reaching out to potential customers to purchase their services, like a coach or digital offerings or a product, if you have, actual manufacturing products, shirts, t-shirts, cups, mugs, video games, lights, whatever it is that you have, you want to be at a platform where people who are looking for you can discover you and find you, where you're not buried. Unfortunately, a lot of those other platforms is really quickly, easily to get buried. You can use hashtags to be found, but for the most part, every single day, there's new people creating new content every single day, every single minute, every single second. There's someone who's burying your content to provide the layering on, and your tweet or your Instagram post or your Snap or your TikTok post that you did to drive traffic and attention to the thing that you made that you want people to see gets buried in the avalanche of people who go on top of it. So the constant struggle to get attention, constant struggle to get us out. Unlike social search platforms like Google and YouTube and Pinterest, is that people actually come with the intention of looking for you versus you just happen to scroll by their feed, or they were looking at someone else's content and someone retweeted you because they were following, or they're following a hashtag and they see you on accident. Not that they were looking for you. On Pinterest, people are actually coming to you. So that's why naturally it made sense. The platform where people are finding me because I have the answer that they're looking for was a natural connection. Like, I want to be on that platform. I want to study it. Because if someone, for example, Jonathan, I know you provide services for people who are entrepreneurs and looking to harness their knowledge online and make money off of that, or at least reach out to people who want to know their knowledge. Someone would type in Pinterest, for example, how do I start an online business? Or they go to Google or go to YouTube. There's only three places where people actually are going to look for something, and those are the three places. So that's why Pinterest is that and there's visual. I'm a visual person. I love pretty things. I love I love getting inspired. So it's a platform where people who love pretty images, who love to get inspired, who love lifestyle sort of things can go and get inspired and search, and you can get found. So that's why Pinterest. And if there's no brand loyalty, unlike other platforms where people like are stuck on the Polo or the Nike or the Yves Saint Laurent or the various different name brands, there's not an affinity for the brand loyalty. It's a great place where you can get discovered by people who are looking for you, and there's no attachment to a specific brand. If you solve the problem, if you know the answer, if you can get it, they'll click through and they'll come and they'll learn more about you and discover you. And it's the top of the funnel, but it's a journey. It's a really direct journey to you as a seller.
I think that my two biggest takeaways from what you just said was number one, you were talking about people being confident on camera. Someone, actually being on these different platforms and being themselves. It, I think that anybody could be themselves on all these different platforms. And then the other thing was that it's discoverability. Like I, I met you on Clubhouse, for instance. We're talking about Pinterest and YouTube right now, but I met you on Clubhouse, and if I didn't have, I didn't search for your name.
Right.
I searched for a topic.
Right.
And I found you because you were also involved in the same topic. And it's the same thing on like YouTube. I could look for, hey, Pinterest tips on YouTube, and I'm going to find your content. I didn't know who you were yet, but I found you because you created content to serve the audience before they asked the question. And correct me if I'm wrong, it's similar on Pinterest from what I'm understanding, right? And people will be attracted to that brand, or you are the brand, personal brand. But people have to create the answers to the questions or the things that people are going to be interested in.
Exactly.
Is that correct?
You hit the nail. Oh my God. You hit the nail and the hammer. Is that the word? Hammer on the nail?
The hammer, the nail on the hammer, or hammer on the nail.
Whatever the phrase is, you got it right. Yeah. That's perfect.
But that leads me to the next thing that I wanted to ask, because you said that you started on like YouTube. We're talking about Pinterest, but YouTube is also a search engine. But you started on YouTube beginning of 2020, correct?
Yeah.
Yeah, and it was like we could have all just caught up on Netflix and been ahead on a couple seasons of whatever, or you can create content and actually build something. And you chose to build something. Why did you choose YouTube? What attracted you to YouTube as a second main platform?
Okay, well, YouTube, like a lot of these platforms, it's free. Let's start there, because even if you are, and I've been in the content creation business before I started YouTube for a while, for over 10 years. And at some point I was using free platforms initially, but it got costly when I decided to do hosting, for example. If anyone wants to host a website or blog or anything, it's best to host it yourself and pay for hosting. Hosting isn't free, and it can be expensive. And right now I manage, and I have several, like maybe over a dozen websites and blogs. Some of them my own, some of them I manage for other people. And it can be costly. So I know hosting is expensive, housing people's content, even cloud storage, all of that costs a lot of money. So YouTube is a platform that they will allow you to create a video, upload it. They will store your videos for you for free. They will help you market and promote your video to your audience for free. They will house your videos for years and years. Even though I did start my channel at the beginning of 2020, it was an existing channel that I had for a while that I just, like, if you go on there now, it's JJ Ghatt is my name. You'll see, you can search back. It's a hodgepodge of different things, because I've done digital content for a while, but even before that, I just do it like my kids' performances at a talent show. At one point, I had a PR agency, and I represented a friend who was a nominated Grammy singer, and we went to the Grammys. And so I recorded the experience of going to pre-events of Grammy, the Grammy Awards itself. And so actually one of my most popular videos on my channel is a recording of Chuck Brown, who's the godfather of soul, go-go music of DC. And he, that's one of my most popular videos. And then another one is the guy from what's his name? I don't know. I'm having a brain fart. The rock and roll singer. Never been on the Grammys before. Why am I forgetting his name? British. Anyway, I can't remember the top of my head. But anyway, those people who were their whole housing maps for the most part. So why YouTube? It's because YouTube is a great platform for housing your stuff for free. It's a great marketing platform. It's a great place to deliver people for you. Again, there's no other platform, very few platforms that, other than Google and then Pinterest, that will actually deliver you people for free, deliver you audiences and customers and potential people you can get into your feed who want what you're selling or want the information you have or would love to hear what you have to say. So that's why YouTube, out of all of the video platforms, it's one of the, free video platforms.
Yeah, and I think that it's cool that you brought up the fact that your earlier videos are kind of about random things.
Yeah.
I think that a lot of people with YouTube, they think, I got to have this plan. I got to have this really, curated channel and this topic and everything like that. But the thing is that sometimes we don't know what our channel is going to be about when we're getting started. And you don't need to erase those other, but you still keep those on your channel, right?
Yes, I do keep them on my channel. And then again, because I'm monetized, meaning I'm a member of the YouTube Partner Program, I continue to make money off of those because again, like I said, those channels, the videos that I did before I started pivoting to being a Pinterest marketer, YouTuber, they actually right now perform the best. And because YouTube is a business, Mick Jagger, so because YouTube is a business, they are going to promote, same thing with Pinterest, the videos, the content that resonate with people, the people like, the people watch in full, and they're going to put ads in front of them because they know they're going to make money. So the same thing with Pinterest. I have several pins on Pinterest that are going viral and continue to go viral, even though Pinterest itself has said they prefer fresh pins. Right now, I have about maybe 2 dozen pins that are not fresh in any search of the imagination. They're as old as dirt. They're, I mean, at least as old, some of them as old as a year old. And they're still recycling in Pinterest because Pinterest knows that that content resonates well with people. When people see it, they watch it, they pin it, they share it. That Pinterest knows they can throw some ads on any content below that pin or around it. People who've paid Pinterest, and they know that the ad buyers are going to get ads because that pin does well, it consistently does well. Same thing with YouTube videos. Even though my channel and the videos that I create now are getting anywhere between, let's say, maybe 100 to maybe 4K views, 5K views per video. The Pinterest, YouTube continues, and my subscribers tell me, "Hey, I just saw a video you did 4 or 5 years ago, with Chuck Brown or with Mick Jagger, and there's another popular one with Eminem, and there's one with Rihanna, because those are celebrities and people are always searching them. And because those videos do well, YouTube's not giving them up. So if I private them, YouTube's gonna be mad at me, first of all, like, hey, that was a cash cow. So they're making money, I'm making money. It never makes sense for people who want to like, and right now, YouTube knows that I'm a Pinterest marketer. And I think that's the other thing too, I want to make sure people know is like, you have old content and you've now pivoted. You've moved to another direction. You've realized your new audience, your new target. Would you love the people coming to you? You found your niche. You found your tribe. You found the content that you want to produce. You're happy. You're passionate about it. And then you're worried that there's other stuff here that's no longer you. It's going to distract or discourage YouTube, but that's not the case. YouTube is very smart. The algorithm figures out really quickly, like, she's no longer doing this. We're going to keep promoting this video, but he's now focused on this realm. And they're going to continue to help you try to find the audiences that match. And they're going to actually identify an index, which is a term of art related to YouTube, index you as your new thing that you're doing. So I always tell people, don't fret, don't delete anything. Same thing with Pinterest, YouTube. Well, YouTube is, Google is different. You kind of have to delete old stuff on Google. But on Pinterest, we tell people just archive the stuff you don't want to do. Don't waste your time deleting. With YouTube, do not delete that old video. Just move on, move forward, let that stuff live there. It's part of your legacy. When you blow up big, people will be like, oh, wow, I remember seeing this old grainy, crappy video that you did back in 2002, and it's still there. And that's also part of your story. It's part of your journey. You can have that on there. Keep that stuff on there.
Yeah, I think that you hit the nail on the head.
That's what it is. That's the nail on the head.
You hit and I think that was perfect, because I think that a lot of people, they think that they have to be perfect right off the bat, whatever they're doing. Like, when you started on Pinterest, you probably, day one, you didn't know what you're doing, right? You didn't know, like, you do YouTube, day one, you didn't know what you were doing. It sounds like you were just posting stuff. I mean, that's how a lot of people thought. They just post stuff and just walk away, and somebody's going to watch my stuff. Same thing you do a lot on Clubhouse, which we're going to get into. But you do that. And I know with like Clubhouse, day one, I opened that app and I was like, what am I supposed to do in here? It's like, and I think a lot of people have that same mindset. And it's like, the thing is that we have to just do it.
Yeah.
We have to start. We have to start messy.
Just do it.
Just do it. Just do it. And we have to start messy. And we just have to start. That's the hardest part.
Yes, that is the
hardest part.
And you see so many people on Clubhouse stages that there are few people, they're just paralyzed with the fear of start. They're paralyzed with the fear of how they're going to look on camera. They're paralyzed with the discomfort and not liking their voice. I don't really like my voice either. And I have, I know we're going to talk about this later.
Your voice sounds great.
Huh?
Your voice is great.
Oh, thank you so much. I appreciate it.
We all have that opinion of our voice in our head. Your voice sounds great.
Oh,
And you
thank
don't
you.
talk too fast.
Oh, okay. Thank you. I always wonder, people always say, you talk too fast.
You
I'm
don't
like,
talk too fast. You talk just the right speed for your audience.
thank you so much. So I'm always worried, nonetheless, that, people, I'm going to turn people off. But, irrespective of what your fear is in your head about your start or whether or not you're ready to start, I think people just need to actually it's hard to say get over it because it's a personal thing, it's a personal journey, and whatever anxiety or issues that people are having that's stopping them, it's like they have to work it through. But it does help to join spaces with other people, either watch a YouTube video, talk to someone who's a fellow creator, either on a social platform like, like Clubhouse or others, and help people walk you through it, give you some tips and how they started and share their journey. Because you can get inspired, or you can either get motivated, or you can, feel good to know that someone empathizes and someone's been there where you've been before. And so that makes you feel better, because up until now, up until that point, you just doing it on your own, and it's causing you anxiety because you just don't have anyone to talk through it with. So that's the beauty of Clubhouse. So it's one thing to watch a YouTube video, but you can't talk back to that creator, that YouTube creator, because they just produced the video. It's one-sided unless it's a live stream. Even with live stream, you can't really, it's still limited. But the good beauty of Clubhouse is you can have an actual conversation. You can get on the stage and someone to talk back to you, and you can get an instantaneous response back, and they can hear the inflection in your voice. They can hear the sincerity, or they can hear your fear. They can hear whatever emotions you're going through, and they can respond in kind based on that, versus reading something you type on a stream. So it's just the only type of platform right now, audio only sort of platforms, where you can, you can actually engage. Even if someone watches this podcast, they may learn something from us, but it's done and said, and not for sure where this is going to be, but they're hearing it after it's done. So only in Clubhouse can you have the immediate interaction, which makes it a great platform.
And since we're talking about Clubhouse now, I was wondering, how are you utilizing Clubhouse to grow your business? I know that they have like a tipping feature, which some people have, but a lot of people are like, oh, there's no way to make income off of Clubhouse. But I know personally there is, and I know that you do, and I maybe share a few tips for everybody exactly what you're doing.
Yeah, there's several different ways to make money on Clubhouse. The biggest way is, there's tipping, which I've actually had people tip me, but it's really nominal. You cannot feed your family off the small tips you get on, Twitter has it now, and YouTube is experimenting with tipping. The most obvious way is to get people off the platform and onto your email marketing list. And so what you can do is you have to offer something in exchange for that email. People aren't just going to just give it to you. So the clearest way is to offer a freebie, offer some piece of knowledge. So from early on, I created a YouTube growth checklist, and I created a Pinterest setup, because a lot of people are using Pinterest for business, for personal, and they don't know what they need to do to do it for business. So I created a one-page sheet. So when I used to have Pinterest rooms, I used to tell people, go on my Clubhouse bio, and then that'll go to my Instagram bio, and you can actually click in and download my Pinterest growth checklist, my Pinterest business setup, or my YouTube growth checklist, and that's how you get people on your email list. And from there, you can send them, down your nurture sequence, and be like, let them know, hey, thank you. At some point, you're on my email list because you downloaded a freebie. I've had several different, because I come from the blogging, content creation world. Before I did YouTube, before I did Clubhouse, I'm familiar with giving away information, cheat sheets, checklists, kids, free media kits, just lots of different freebies of information. Not a lot of information, just, freebies of information that people will give you in exchange for the email, and then you can actually nurture them. So, so that's one way outside of tipping. A second way outside of tipping that you can make money off of Clubhouse is actually through sponsoring your own, or sponsoring a club. So I pitched, actually, and I don't know a lot of people know this, like our relationship with VIDIQ. They didn't come to us. We weren't known, especially being on YouTube. I'm a smaller YouTube creator. I have less than 2K following, even though I started a year ago. Even though I started seriously a year ago, it's slow growing, super slow, because my niche is small. Maybe people just don't want to subscribe, whatever reason. It's going slow. So VidIQ didn't come out, reach out to me and my sister, because most of their creative partners that they have, or brand ambassadors, have ginormous channels. So what I did was I actually pitched. So if you have a following on Pinterest, on Clubhouse, And that's the beauty of Clubhouse, is that I was able to grow organically and create a following. Right now it's about 6.2K as of this recording, of people by just going in, providing value, showing I know something and knowledgeable, being nurturing, being a force for good, and putting together communities. I went to the Pinterest community, I put it together. I hosted rooms and gave a lot of knowledge and put people together who would normally not see. A bunch of Pinterest marketers. In one room, we had weekend series on Sundays that did pretty well until till people started dropping off because of the pandemic. Was easing up restrictions and people were going outside and the world was opening up again. And so it wasn't as consistent. So I just shut it down temporarily. We might bring it back up when, fall and winter and it starts getting warm and cooler temps and people have to spend more time indoors. But I created communities and joined people together and provided value and added. And at some point I said, we have a pretty good thing here. I think this platform is actually going to last. So we reached out. We said, at that time too, we were one of the few people who had clubs. Everyone wasn't able to have clubs like we were. So we had an asset that was valuable. And so we reached out. I reached out to VIDIQ and I said, hey, your competitors too, buddy, they're here. They're in here. Where are you? And I told them, I've never used TubeBuddy. I've only used VIDQ. And it's the one tool I've used to grow my channel. And I've been an affiliate for as long as they've been existing. And so they were like, yeah, great. You showed that you're loyal to our brand. Two, you do have something that we can't have, because at that point they weren't able to have their own club. And so that's how it started. Eventually, before we, finished the deal, they were able to get their own club. And so I host rooms in there. So that's the second way outside of tipping, is that you can actually have people sponsor your brand, you sponsor rooms. We don't have any, we've had offers to sponsor a room and then also offered to sponsor the club as well. And so that's the second way. A third way you can make money off of Clubhouse, outside of tipping, outside of you putting do an exchange of email for something and getting people in nurture sequence or getting a sponsor, is to actually be a consultant. So there's a lot of people who are looking for someone, looking for access to do something. They just don't know. You show me expertise. So I've had people come to our stages and say, you know what? Thank you. This is too much for me. Can I just pay you to teach my DA, or can I just pay you to set it up for me? So I've actually gotten clients that way for people who say, you know what you're doing? Can I just hire you to figure it out and hire you to do it for me? And so that's another way. It's just being a consultant, being a service provider, being a coach, or just showing people how to do something. So those are some startup ways. There are other ways, but those are the ones that are obvious to me. If you want to monetize, I'm always baffled when people was like, Clubhouse should, because the creators, the platform should pay the creators, which is kind of like, I really do think, I don't know. I'm like, they give you a wonderful opportunity to make your own money. Like when they used to, like Clubhouse, for example, they have those icons and people just get frustrated because they didn't pay their icon. And I was saying by them being an icon for Clubhouse, they've gotten the tremendous opportunity of getting so much exposure that should really give them an opportunity to make a lot of money, more than if Clubhouse paid them $10,000. They took that icon status and used that. I am the Clubhouse icon. They could broker so many deals, so many sponsorships. They could make so many. They had the right team, or the people advise them, or they had the mindset and like, I'm going to use this opportunity of having this platform to make a whole bunch of money before they switch it off to another icon. They give you a short amount of time. They change the icon in Clubhouse every time there's a major update. And so you don't know when they're going to have a major update. So why you have that little piece of time? Get your team together, start putting some big things, pitch the fact that you have an icon, all the eyeballs, all the people, the millions of people that go to Clubhouse every day see your face actually the brand. And so, so I'm just like, people are short-sighted when they just want either a YouTube partner program to pay them or tip jars or Clubhouse. Nothing wrong with that, but that should not be if you're really small-minded, you think that that's the limited range. You can't make opportunities for yourself. You have to rely on someone else to provide something for you or give you something. It doesn't wait to be tipped or wait for someone to, a platform to pay you when you have so many opportunities to bring home some bacon on your own.
Yeah, I think that you just had a mic drop moment.
Right.
There, if anybody listening, that was gold. Rewind that and listen to that again, because I think that the key thing that is similar to all four things that you just mentioned is that it's a form of community.
Right.
You're building community. Like the reason why you were able to make those connections with VidIQ, which again, if people don't know, check out VidIQ. It's an amazing tool. The reason why is because you started to build a community.
Right.
The reason why you're able to send people to your lead magnet or your freemium, whatever term you want to call it, the way it's because you wanted to take people off of Clubhouse and put them into some form of other community. Your email list could be a form of community,
Right.
and then so on and so forth. Every single layer, like brand deals, anything that you're doing, it's a way of community, and people actually go like, oh, this person is building the community. And I think that a lot of people, they think that they need to wait for the community to just be there.
Right.
But like what we said, we all start like with nothing to begin with.
Yeah.
You started with 0 subscribers and 0 followers on your different platforms and the different things that you're doing. I mean, you joined Clubhouse, at the beginning of this year, right? Or the end of last year?
And yeah,
December, yeah.
December 15th,
So,
I think.
And I guarantee you started with 0.
Yep.
And it's the same thing with everybody. And you started to build a community. And from that community, so many people are like, oh, how does JJ have so many people in her community? It's because she started, and then she started to build that, and she gave value. And there's so much knowledge, and the people, like we were talking before we hit record, it's about the access to that community. So you don't necessarily have to be afraid to give value freely on these platforms. It's completely fine.
I agree. I think another thing too, it shows that you're, a lot of times people come into it for the money, and there have been folks that have crossed that path who just essentially want to shortcut it. And I've had DMs in my boxes and people who just want to come on stage without actually like doing the legwork to just say, oh, there's a bunch of people. Because here's a deal about Clubhouse. And I said this, I did a video talking YouTube with VIDQ, has a podcast. And then the podcast, they were asking like, what's the deal what's up with Clubhouse? Like why was the big deal about it? And I was like, because in Clubhouse, you have the people who, and I know this is going to sound a little bit pretentious, and it might sound kind of like holier than thou. So I'll give you the caveat first, but essentially all the people who control the world, all the influencers, it's like conferences. You go to some conferences, you have all the great minds. Let's say invite only conferences, or conferences that are super expensive, or masterminds. It's the people who influence the world go one place, they put their heads together, they learn and grow from each other, and then they go disperse, and then they go do their thing. And if you want access to everyone who controls the world, you want to be a sponsor of that conference. You want to have, you want to be speaking in front of those people. It's cheaper and more efficient for you to speak to the people who control the world versus speaking to the world. The world is like, I have access to like billions of people. Rather, get access to the few thousands of people, the top whatever percentage of creators on YouTube or on Instagram, or who are blogging in the media, brands, all these different people that folks listen to are essentially influence the whole world. So that's why people hire influencers. That's how people sponsor or do ads on programs, because they know, they know like the CNNs or Fox News have the eyeballs and ears and the attention of all these other people. So that's why they sponsor that. So that's what Clubhouse, I akin Clubhouse to. It's a space where the people who are, thought leaders, who are going to do it. It'd be anybody's got a YouTube channel, meaning that at some point you get some subscribers. Those are all those people who aren't on Clubhouse, will not come on Clubhouse. They hear about Clubhouse, but they're just like, yeah, that's not for me. And that's not my thing. But they will listen to you who aren't on Clubhouse. If you learn something on Clubhouse and you go do a video on it, then indirectly you got, it's Clubhouse influencing those people who would never come on Clubhouse. So so I think that I only say that to say that that's why people want access to Clubhouse people. And then that's why if you are in Clubhouse and you have a wonderful opportunity to let people and brands know that you, even if someone says, well, your club is only 400 people or 500 people, like, yes, but the 500, 400 people that member my clubs, you can list, like, look at who they are, look at their contact, look at who they reach out to. So I have the potential to influence all these people. There is an app called, what's it called? It's called, I'm not forgetting it. Oh, anyway, what it does is,
Apps?
no, it's a Twitter, yeah, can't remember, but it's an app it tells you your reach. It quantifies your reach on Twitter based on who follows you. And it says based on who follows you, you have the potential, your reach is like something like 81 million or 81 billion. You'll be thinking, how is that? It's because not that you have 81 million followers, but that the people who follow you, all it takes is one of them to retweet you So it's a potential. You don't have it, but you have a potential. So for example, one of my Twitter accounts, one of my earlier ones, I have a lot of celebrities that follow. I have Entertainment, I have Barack Obama, I have Martha Stewart, I have all these big brands and big names. Cause it was really long time ago when people were that cautious about who they follow back. I mean, they're a great brand, but so when I
I'm sure they all meant to follow you, though.
did, they did.
I'm sure they all meant to.
It's Fruigi. That's the name of it. Fruiga. It still exists. It's really small.
Gee,
Yeah, Fruigi. It's a tiny little company. I'm gonna check it up and see if it still exists. It's really like, let me see if it's still around. The Twitter search. Oh, let me see if they're still there. It's Twitter Analytics tool. They're still existing. Yay. So they do analytics they do analytics for Twitter. Let me go back. And so you could type in this the potential. So even though on Twitter for that account I may have something like 5,000 followers, I still have the potential to reach a 500 million. And so that's what I mean, like people who are in Clubhouse who might have a small club, take the people who are following your club, who are members of your club, their reach. Because take any one of them to come to a room and you to influence them, or so they say you've got a sponsor and the sponsor has a new analytical tool or something like that for content providers or something like that. And you have a sponsored room and you're promoting it. It just takes one of those members who have the access and the ear to millions of other people to come to that room to learn about your tool, download it, access it, become a fan. And now you reach all of their followers just by sponsoring a small club with 20 people in it. So I think that's the if you are forward thinking, if you are growth minded, you would really look at your analytics and look at your access and look at the reach and the reach potential, because there's really tremendous value in there. I think people underestimate the importance of branding, brand elevation. There's a topic where people talk about conversions and they think, okay, well, I sponsored you, but no one purchased my product, or I sponsored you and I didn't get the sale, or I didn't get a jump and leap in sales or leap in eyeballs, or I didn't grow in follows for this account, but I sponsored you. But what you need to really also focus on is I elevated your brand, because the average person needs to see your brand go across their feed like maybe 20 times if they feel comfortable to even click through and learn more about you. But it takes those 20 times. So you sponsor me and I'm able to help you get those 20 things, advance that, because you on your own, you're not going to get that. But with me, I get you 20 feeds. So now with the 21st time when it's you and you do your ad, they've already seen you because of me. I've helped you bridge that gap of reaching out to people 20 times. So when you get the 21st time and you click through, don't be like, oh, they clicked through because it was me. I did this ad or there's amazing copies. No, look at it. The brand elevation. I was able to elevate your brand on this platform, like Pinterest, for example, because of my following, because of my reach, because I'm able to keep retweeting you and getting you across my 37,000 followers. So I think that's the other thing with Clubhouse is people need to say, it's the place where the people of the world lives. And also you have the reach of their reach. And so, yeah, that's another way of thinking of Clubhouse. If you are in Clubhouse, or you are a Clubhouse club owner or a moderator, and you're looking for how you can advance or how you can monetize Clubhouse, and put all of that in your media kit, make it, really deep dive, go deep and immersive.
One of the things that you were saying was it's about like people that but I think that even more so, it's about the people that know you. Like you were saying, like the people that were following you, for instance, the potential of those people, they at some point hit that follow button or that subscribe button on your content. So they know you. So it's like I'm not gonna get into it, but I came from the media industry, and there's so many people that I could say I know,
Right.
that maybe I've met, but if somebody's not thinking about you and somebody's not actually, you're not in their face. So like you said, those 7 times or however many times you need to promote their content in order, or your content to get in front of somebody, people go like, oh, why am I going to post so much? Why am I going to need to be out there so much? Because those people they're going to see you,
Right.
and then they're going to know you.
Right.
You may not even know them, but they're going to know you.
Exactly.
And that's the power of not just Clubhouse, YouTube, Pinterest, any platform that you're trying to grow a brand on, right?
Yeah, exactly. And I think I credit Clubhouse tremendously because it's helped me get a certain level of credibility that I wouldn't. it would have taken me years to get. And even though I had that Pinterest marketing channel, I still was on the outside of Pinterest marketing because I was just a YouTuber. And I hate saying just, I hate the words just and only, because a lot of times people come in and say, I just have 200 followers. I only have, because I'm like, that's so diminutive and that's so like devaluing. Really, those 200 people, they're something, you know what I mean? So, but before that, I would just do my thing, and I was on the outside. You have these professional marketers, and they're doing their thing, and they have a name for themselves. And so I think it's because of Clubhouse, I was able to go in there and get on stages and tell people what I know, and so they didn't have to. People filter out, or they decide whether or not to value your opinion based on lot superficial things. Whether you have a large following, whether you have a large YouTube following, on what you look like, what's your background, whether you look like someone who comes from a similar background, people who know this before, whether they've seen some, what you came for recommendations. There's a lot of different factors that people will actually have nothing to do with your knowledge, where people will actually discount you and choose not to listen to you, or choose not to follow your channel, or choose not to go in your room, if it's a Clubhouse room, based on a lot of superficial things. So with Clubhouse, it was great because we were all stuck inside. It was indoors, and it represented a wonderful opportunity for me to just pull people together, and organically, you're listening to someone. You see the profile, but you listen to them, and they sound like they know what they're talking about. And so, wow, all those barriers, all those normal things that you will, those superficial, biases or whatever it is that you would, say, I'm not this person, they kind of go away for the most part. When you're in a room, you're on stage, you hear the person, like, oh, wow, you're knowledgeable. So that's why I created Clubhouse, because it wasn't for that, I wouldn't be able to necessarily get the road to being a Pinterest marketer and expert would have been longer for me, because people might not be like, she's just a YouTuber and she doesn't even have that many followers, so whatever. And the same thing in the YouTube world. The YouTube world, I think, because we grew so fast on Clubhouse, was able to connect with VIDIQ, convince VIDIQ to partner us. All of a sudden, we now are partnering with the oldest, analytical tool, data-driven tool for YouTubers. And then they have a million, close to a million subscribers on YouTube itself. People love Rob Wilson. People follow VidIQ on Twitter so much, and they're retweeting us or liking our posts and comments. All these YouTubers, large YouTubers, who may or may not have given us much respect or recognition, because we're small creators, we're small YouTubers. Like, so what do you know?
YouTubers.
Yeah, like, we're small users. What do you know? So so the validation, and from VidIQ, and from being in room and hosting rooms and Clubhouse, because Clubhouse is, again, being in a room and space where people who are like Sean Cannells and Daryl Eves and Mr. Beast, and I know he's controversial Keemstar, and even Mr. Ned, Professor Nez, and all these folks who do YouTube, and Benji Travis, and all those guys who on the outside have millions and millions of followers, and their reach is reach probably in the billions if you to quantify it, with all the different platforms. We're on the stage with us. They're following us not because they wouldn't ordinarily follow us on the outside if they just saw us and we just said something. They'd be like, oh, that's nice. But Clubhouse allowed us to be in the rooms, for them to sit in the room and listen to us and say, oh, they know what they're talking about. Or, oh, she's really has a connection. Or hear other people respond back and say, oh, I love when people come to our rooms. It's like, oh, thank you so much, you helped us. And they come back and tell us how we've helped them. Or they come back and they did their assignment and they say, because of you guys, we've grown XXX, or we've done this. Or my sister showed my channel. I was like, wow, what did you do? How did you, all those testimonies. So they hear the testimonies, they see. So the respect that we ordinarily may not get, because they may not necessarily come to our rooms, they're getting. And normally you would say, like, who cares what they think? But there does have validation. It doesn't matter. People do. Vanity metrics do matter. I mean, to the extent that we want to say vanity metrics don't matter, they do. People do respect bigger numbers. They respect established people. So if you're followed by an established person, or or you're partnering with like someone with a big channel, it does matter. People, you get more eyeballs, you get a second look that you ordinarily wouldn't get. So I owe all of that to Clubhouse, to be honest. I don't think I would have had what these major figures following me on Clubhouse and Twitter if it wasn't for Clubhouse. And me being a dynamic speaker.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. It's probably improved. I know it has for me. It's probably improved the way that you are able to communicate what you're trying to say.
Yes.
Yeah, just being able to say, like, hey, this is what I'm trying to get out. Like, that's always been a thing that I've struggled on, like, personally. And, that YouTube's helped, Clubhouse has helped so much more, and actually understanding how people need to learn, how people need to hear things. Like, maybe some people need that tough love.
Mm-hmm.
Some people just need to hear it.
Right. Yes.
It's like, but then if you maybe you don't have an audience that needs to hear it exactly that way.
Right.
But like, I think personally, from especially the YouTube rooms, people need to hear the tough love.
Yeah.
You know, if you're on the
Yeah.
same
Yeah.
kind of
They
the
do.
same page as
Yeah.
that.
They do. And I'm blunt. That's why when you said, "Oh, you speak fast, you're so fine." And so that's why I say not everyone is for everybody. And some people want nurturing, want like, and there's blunt. There's folks who are really super blunt. We've had people come to our rooms like practically tears and like broken down because they went to another room and someone who's a larger creator told them something in no uncertain ways, not because they're harsh or horrible people. It's just that they, like you said, their delivery is such that they just don't have time or patience for coddling people's feelings. So they're just like, this is what you need to do, X, Y, and Z. And they look at your channel, they judge based on your growth. They say you need to do X, Y, and Z. You're not doing this. This kind of sucks. Like go back to the drawing board and come back because the number went on to the next person. So what we do is because we come from the background, and we're aware of how sensitive it can be to trying to grow your channel and being frustrated to put a lot of energy in something and it just not even pan out or you get very low views, not a lot of support. So we had that because we're like a few steps ahead of them, or some people have passed, but some people before we started, they were like a few steps behind me. And since we've been doing this, they passed us, which is totally fine. So, but the point is that when you come from the same space, you kind of like, but you know what I mean? Like you just come to this, you have a thing, you're on the same journey, on the same path. So you know what it's like. And so you may be more keen to like offer tough love, but just with the caveat of like, and I always tell people like, hey, this is going to sound blunt. It's no offense to you. And I don't want you to take this harsh, but no one cares about you. You know what I mean? Like no one cares about your channel or you, what you want, because you're not creating searchable content. No one's going to find you. And then I tell them, I pass up, like, you're a beautiful person. You have an attractive family. You guys are doing pretty well. You're doing every single thing that you need to do that you're supposed to be doing to grow. So there's no reason why you personally shouldn't grow, but there's other things that you need to do that will help you grow faster. And there's things that you're doing now that you need to shed in order to get that growth. So, and you have a mindset shift. So put aside the fact that, you guys attractive, you guys doing something, and here's the things you need to change and actually grow. So that tough love, but with the caveat of still being nurturing and still being like supportive and, and cautious with people's feelings.
Yeah, and I think that some of those, like larger creators, we're defining what a large creator or a
Right.
small creator is. Some of them just they got into this a lot earlier than a lot of the people, not just on Clubhouse, but on like YouTube or anything like that. Like Clubhouse, for instance, when it just got started,
Hmm.
people were follow happy.
Right. Yes.
Like you had a pulse and you get 10 followers.
Right. Right.
You know, and same thing with YouTube when it was very early on. Every platform, and people like talk about all these things, but the thing is that uh you know you can't compare one person's chapter
Right.
1 to somebody's chapter 100, or
Exactly.
like they're different part of their journey.
Yeah.
And maybe let's talk about YouTube. People could have they would have had a very different experience 5-10 years ago
Mm.
starting a channel than today. If they started, it's a very different thing. So you could be having somebody that started 5 years ago that is giving you advice that
Right.
is 5 years ago's advice
Right.
that may not work as well. So connecting with people like you
Yeah.
that are, that are actually up and coming as far as like that, the subscriber counts and things like that. And they're going to blow up and they're growing. And you could actually teach what you're currently doing because you're only a few steps ahead of
Right.
them and you're able to relate to them.
Exactly. It's perfect. I think is what it is, like being relatable. Because sometimes I hear some stuff people say, and I love them. They're good people. And I just cringe. It's kind of like, it's sort of it's dismissive. And we've had folks who come to our rooms and have been dismissive of us because they're kind of like, who are you to have a platform? Like, who are you to give advice when you haven't even grown that much? And so they come with the attitude of, um, you're not qualified because you don't have a certain following. And without realizing that I'm of the position that everyone's a YouTube expert, someone who has no channel, who has 0 subscribers, who never is an expert on YouTube because you know what? They're an expert on what they're like. If you are reaching out to audiences, you need to get that audience, that person who has 0 subscribers, who has 0 YouTube channel, you have to get them to watch your whole video. They know the videos that get them on. They know the videos that don't get them on. And if your video doesn't get them on, they're an expert and can tell you why you suck. because they decided to switch off your video. So you can't look at them and say, they don't have a channel. How are you going to tell me this stuff? Because I'm watching your channel and it's boring me. I'm watching your editing is giving me a headache. I'm watching you and I can't hear you. I'm watching you and your content is all fuzzy. So I know what I like as someone who has 0 subscribers, 0 content. I can tell you I'm an expert on YouTube content. So people come up there like, you need to have a major following in order to be an expert, are just really missing the mark. And the second thing, I'm really passionate about this right now. I'm rolling my sleeves here, why you're better off, and I'm not trying to be divisive, why it might be in your best interest. I don't want to say better off. I want to be careful. It might be in your best interest to follow and to get advice from someone who is just a few steps ahead of you, is because they're hungry. They want to grow. We are on our What's New Wednesday and our YouTuber club from 9, let's say the room ends at 10:15 or 10:30. From 10:32 till 8:59 the next week for our What's New Wednesday, my sister and I, we are looking out on stuff. We're monitoring stuff. We share things with one another. We are looking at the Twitter feed. We're looking at the YouTube Shorts report. We're looking at the websites that actually monitor social media platforms and look for. We have a feed that give us YouTube content. So we're scraping that knowledge. The reason we're scraping that knowledge because we want ourselves, our own channels to grow. Because we have, she's like 2.3K, whatever. I have like under 2K. I want to get to 2K. So I'm hungry for what I need to do to get to the next level. So I'm looking for that data. I'm looking for that information and I'm scraping it together. When I get it, I don't just keep it to myself. We don't just say, okay, now we know we have a secret sauce. Let's go get busy. No, we find other people equally hungry and we say, hey guys, this is what I found out. The biggest thing is something you and I are supposed to have a channel on, is about hashtags. And now it's big. I like the hashtag. And that's the thing. It's a hashtag is a great way of, there's new hashtag tricks. There's a playlist hack that we got from Luke, I forget his last name anyway, on Clubhouse. So there's a playlist hack, there's a hashtag hack, there's a few other pieces of information that are brand new. The caption, information about the importance of caption, the fact that YouTube now is actually auto putting timestamps, and all this information that we're getting for What's New Wednesday. And we know that this little new piece of nuance, new information can help our channel grow, help us get to the next station. It's stuff that larger creators, one, they won't be searching for because they're there already. They've already indexed them. No matter what they do, they can do a video on watching, sipping water. No titles, no tags, no thumbnails. They're going to get the subscribers. They're going to get the watch. YouTube knows they're going to get the watch. They know they're going to get the watch. So why would they go and look at all this data and information and all this background and stuff like that to grow? Because they're already there. So you who need to grow are never going to learn as much from someone who's not doing that data research than you are from someone who actually is doing that data research. So that's why I think the people who look down on creators who are just starting as being educators or being able to instruct other ones are just foolish. And I pity them when they come in that attitude. I'm just like, you're dumb. I mean, not to be sounding me, like you really are stupid. Like you're talking now so you think. Because another thing too is things have changed so much. So when you come in, whatever you was telling us does no longer apply. You grew when there was like maybe 5 channels in your niche. Since then, there's 5 million channels in your niche. So you can't tell people like, all you got to do is X, Y, and Z and grow. Like, no, that doesn't apply anymore because there's more competition. So this person has to do a little bit extra things that you never had to do because that's outdated. Your knowledge, your information is outdated. So your numbers and the fact that you've been on YouTube long time actually makes you less qualified to be a YouTube expert than someone who's newer. So it might be controversial, but it is what it is.
Unless you start a second channel and don't have any, don't put your face on it and actually show that, hey, I did this from scratch.
Right.
Nobody knows who I am.
Right.
So I know what I'm doing. If you do something like that, then absolutely.
Yes.
Yeah. Like you said, you can't compare something that people are, and what you mentioned about how people come into your rooms and they mentioned like they act like they are holier than thou.
Yes.
I think that also I find that very sad. That mindset. Because in the end, it's like, especially I mean on Clubhouse, at least the way I see it is, whoever is on stage, like I'm on stage and I'm the one in the top left. And if nobody's if somebody's not on Clubhouse, go sign up for Clubhouse. You'll know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
The person that is, that's on the top left, that's their stage.
Right.
They're there to speak. And they took the initiative to actually, and it's the same thing, YouTube, Pinterest, a blog, Clubhouse, whatever you're doing, you need to take the initiative to start. And that person took the initiative to start. So it's their voice.
Right.
Somebody could have a disagreement with you on your YouTube channel, your Clubhouse, or wherever your stage, your platform, but it doesn't mean that you're wrong just because somebody said that you're wrong, but that's your space. And if they disagree with you, they can go start their own YouTube channel to talk about, their opinion, or their own Clubhouse room to start their opinion. So never get discouraged about, somebody's one-sided opinion that they don't know. They don't know you. And like somebody told you, JJ, you got to talk slower. You know what? Personally, if you talk slower, I would click off your video because that's not right for me.
Right.
I don't like it when I watch a video and somebody's talking slow and drawn out. My brain moves too fast to watch that video.
Yeah.
So don't change who you are because somebody else told you needed to be different.
Right. No, true. Good point. I will, and there's a way, and I don't want to come off cross of them being like hostile to larger creators, because there is a way to.
No.
Because there's still,
and not everybody's that way too.
No. There's someone who came on stage recently for, I think it was Happy Hour. Actually, he was really great. He was humble. He told his story. And he shared what his growth and everything he's gotten, kind of like as part of his story, part of his journey. So we can appreciate that. He would come on stage like, well, their first introduction was like, I'm this, I've done this partnership, I've done this, I've grown this, I've done da. So let me go ahead and first preface you so that you know why I'm expert, which I understand why people do that, because some people would discount them based on what they look like. And so they feel like they have to carry their resume on their shoulders. So I understand why people do that. But but the thing about that is when you do that, it comes across as that sometimes, especially when you have to read the room. The long and short of it is like read the room. A lot of people don't read the rooms. They just sort of selfish, not selfish as in a bad way, because they're just unawares, not self-aware, and they don't read the room. And it's about them. And so they're not community minded. And I think that's for folks who come to Clubhouse to make money and to exploit and to elevate themselves and their brand. So if you do that, it may not work, because people can see through you. But people who come on because they want to form a community, who they want to educate others, who they want to learn. Along the way, they say, oh, there could be money to be made here. And I could make some money, but my first goal and purpose is not to make money and exploit the platform. They don't last long. We've seen them come and go. Like, they'll come on. If you're just doing it just for the money, it's going to get draining. You're going to realize it's not working. It's not going fast enough. Are you going to hop off and be like, all right, I'm not doing this anymore? I've been part of several journeys, several people who've done that. Like, come on, and they're not making money fast enough, and then they're out. So it's because they come on, join it for the wrong reason, and then they leave because it's not for them. It's not a quick, fast money sort of thing. It's like YouTube. It's like the long marathon, not the sprint.
So Gigi, earlier we were talking about your why you're doing, like what you're doing, but I was just curious because I know that a lot of people, they have that why, but then they have like the drive that they can't find. What keeps you driven to just keep on going? Because so many people, they start, but then they give up.
Right.
Then they give up right before the goal.
Right.
Like, so what keeps you going?
Right. I think what keeps me going is being focused on the many steps. Because I think what happened is a lot of times, and I saw an IGTV, either a reel, a story, or a TikTok, or some vertical piece of content. I don't know what it was. There's someone, it was a hiker. I think she is a fitness instructor, and she was going on a hike. And in her example, she showed she had a camera, and she pointed to the mountain, and she said, "Do you see that mountain? That's where I'm heading." And she said, "But I can't focus on the mountain. I have to focus on my steps." And then she was walking, and she said, "Here are the steps." She said, "If I spend too much time focusing on the mountain, not on the steps, I could trip. I can fall. I can have an injury. I can like lose my way and kind of slow my progress down, get injured. And that's going to take me a longer time to get to the mountain because I'm focused on other things around me and not on the steps in front of me." So I think I thought that was a perfect analogy. And I bring that up whenever I possibly can, because I think that that's what keeps me going forward, and also keeps me from the overwhelmed, and keeps me from the curse of, what is it, of comparison. They say comparison is the thief of joy. And I think a lot of people on the YouTube platform or anywhere, whether it's work, whether it's business, whether it's life, relationships, that we want to compare what's going on in our lives to what other people are dealing with. And what that does is that take focus away from your own path. And so to avoid the overwhelm, the comparison path, I was like, I have a strict path and I have a lot of things to do when it steps. I have tiny action steps. So for example, even I just finished doing my YouTube video. I mean, the Rising YouTuber Club video. It takes forever. But the tiny action steps was the first, get a domain name. That was a hurdle because I couldn't use, there's another thing. I couldn't use YouTuber because the word YouTube is used by the criminals and phishing scams so much that they rejected my security certificate. But before they rejected my security certificate, I had to go get a file for a trademark for that. So I filed a trademark application. Then I had to do the actual video. Then I have to take the information. Then I take the material. So all those are tiny action steps towards the action, the final thing that I've been announcing and have an actual YouTube. If I just focused on the fact that I wanted a website, I would get overwhelmed. Like, oh my God, don't have a website yet. It takes me so long. And then, but it's like, that would drive me crazy because every single day I would be focused on the fact that I don't have a website instead of focusing on what's the thing I need to do to get there. Is I need to take all these, and now it's almost done. I just have a few more things to do. And then it's funny, it is done, but it took me focusing on the tiny steps to get to the fact I'm ready to launch the website versus focusing on the fact that I don't, and then get overwhelmed and having anxiety because it's not done. So I think that's the lesson, and that's what keep me going is that knowing I have a lot of things. Like I have an Etsy shop that I want to grow. There's things I want to do in my Etsy shop. I want to return. We talked about this earlier. I want to return back to focusing on Pinterest and blogging because even though YouTube, like I said, YouTube was like a side chick. It was like, it was like my plaything during the quarantine. And now I'm just like, I really want to go back to actually creating more blogging sort of content because that was my initial passion. And I like it. I missed it. And Pinterest really drives that sort of stuff. So I want to go back to auditing my Pinterest accounts, focusing on my blogs. I still want to do YouTube content, of course, but that's a lot. And YouTube, we didn't talk about burnout yet. YouTube is a burnout job. Oh my God. So I want to do YouTube. I want to do my Etsy. I want to do my Pinterest. And yeah, I'm going to fix up my house. All those things I have to do. I can't, that's what drives me. It's because I have a lot of stuff to do. So that's what keeps me going is I'm not focused on the mountain. I'm focused on the steps to get to the mountain.
Yeah, I think that you were talking about burnout a little bit. I think that focusing on just that next step,
Right.
like, when you're just setting up your YouTube channel for the first time or whatever you're doing, oh man, I need to create a banner. I need to create this thing. I need to create my first video. You don't have to think about your 100th video.
Right.
You just have to think about that first one.
Right.
And then when you're done with the video, and also don't focus on looking back.
Right.
Just focus on the next step that you need to go no matter what you're doing.
Exactly.
Pinterest, YouTube, Clubhouse, a blog, whatever you're working on, whatever your next step is. And I love that story. I'm gonna steal that.
Yeah, definitely. I stole it, so it's not mine. You can have it.
Perfect. But yeah, I think that's a great way to avoid burnout. Like you were talking about burnout.
Yeah.
It's like just not thinking, man, I got so much to do. You don't have so much to do. You have one thing to do.
Yeah. And that's what I'm doing.
Right now?
Yeah, and that's what helped me. We recorded this segment was about how to avoid YouTube burnout or burnout just generally. It's just to do one thing. And so that's what I'm doing now. This week coming in, I decided I do have clients, so I can't totally abandon them. So if it wasn't for them, I'd be like later, but I can't go on vacation. There's a thing when you work for yourself. There's really no vacations. So I have to do one thing for a client, one business thing. I have a lot of projects. Like I mentioned, all those projects, but I'm going to work on one project, one aspect of one project. And then the rest of the time, I'm going to try to rest. So that's it. So just one project, one client, the task, and that's it. It's kind of like a 4-hour work week. I started the book, I didn't finish it, but that whole concept is about like outsourcing and finding different ways to get stuff done and not burning out your time doing little small tasks that you can pay someone else to do, or you can outsource or, peel off and do something else, or just not do, or just put on the shelf. Because that's the other thing too, is put stuff on the shelf. If you have these goals, like there's some things I want to do. There's no reason I need to do it this month. There's no reason I need to do it this quarter. I really could do that in December. Why am I breaking my back to do something this month that I can arguably just do in December? Put on the shelf, before the quarantine came, that's how we all got it. That's how I got YouTube. Because this YouTube channel was on a shelf, and then the quarantine came and I took it off the shelf. So I didn't disabandon it. I didn't abandon it. I put on the shelf. So same thing, all your projects or your dreams that you want to do, you can shelve them. They're going to be there for the most part, even if it's an idea. I don't know, somebody can steal it, but House on the shelf, but you just put on the shelf for now. Don't bring yourself out.
Yeah, and it will be there on the shelf ready for when you're ready
Yeah.
for it. And whenever it's like, I mean, like, this is a perfect example right now. We're recording a podcast episode. This is the one thing
Yes.
right now.
Yeah.
And everybody should have that one thing. Like, I'm not focusing on anything else but being here with you right now.
Right. Yeah.
And that's all that matters.
And then when it's over, I'm gonna take a nap because I found like I had lost energy when I was younger. And when I mean younger, I mean like maybe like
Still young.
3 or 4 years ago. I know, thank you. But I mean like 3 years ago or 2 years ago, I had so much energy. Like I talk fast now, but I had just a lot of energy, just personally, just a lot of stuff. And when I interact with people, it was very energetic. And people used to always say, "Oh my God, you're like an energizer buddy. Like, where do you get the energy from?" And I had to tell them, I said, no one told me this, but I know it's gonna run out. I said, I know it's coming. And so all this energy I have right now while I have it, I gotta do what I gotta do because it's gonna run out. It's gonna drain. I'm not gonna be as fast. But I saw Michael Jackson, before he passed away, when he was doing his This Is It show, This Is It tour, and they showed behind the scenes of him practicing and he was moving slower. And I was like, see, that's it. You see Janet Jackson when she did her 50, the decade, whatever tours, and you saw her on stage, you're like, wow, she's slower. You see Beyonce when she does her moves at the shows. It's different from when she was a little bit younger because we're all gonna slow down, and so we're gonna lose that energy. It's not gonna be as fast and quick. Age is gonna catch up with us. So, I'll say this to say I'm gonna take a nap after this.
You deserved it. You earned it.
Thanks.
So I'll let you get to the nap.
I know.
But I guess that
I'm tired.
I just had like one more question that I really wanted to ask you. And it was basically, what question did I not ask that I should have,
Okay,
that my audience needs to know?
yeah, I guess the question that you could have asked that your audience needs to know is, oh, what do people do wrong when they start a YouTube channel? If most of this content is reaching out to YouTube creators, like what is the thing that they focus on that they should not focus on? Because I think that's a lot of times people don't realize it. They don't realize that they are spinning the wheels on something that don't matter. Like I have a pregnancy blog, and so these women, they having their first baby, they get anxious, they buy these books, they have these birth plans, they do all these things, do all this equipment, and then when they have the baby, chunk of that equipment never gets used. The birth plan goes out the window within the first hour of labor. They plan for all these different things and they anticipate all these things. And they focus on stuff that's so like, stop focusing on that stuff. So what are people doing and focusing on when they start their YouTube channel that they need to stop? Well, what do they need to know that they don't know when they go into YouTube that they should know, which will save them a lot of time and heartache and energy? I think that's the question. If this series or these podcasts is focused to creators or YouTube creators or video creators, video content creators, what you do.
That's great advice. And yeah, awesome. Really appreciate
Yeah.
that. So, if somebody wanted to get a hold of you or find you, how would they find you? How should they search for you and get in contact with you?
The best thing about it is I've managed to rebrand, like I mentioned earlier at another portion of this segment. I'm not quite sure what you're going to watch, but what we're this stupid thing is that I had several different careers, several different jobs. I've rebranded myself. I've done legal stuff. I've done PR. I've done like commentator, political commentator. I've done a lot of amazing, fun things. But one thing I've been able to do, which is amazing recently, is rebrand JJ Ghatt, which is JAYJY Ghatt, and it's JJ Ghatt everywhere. So if you go to JJ Ghatt on YouTube, you're gonna find me there. You go to JJ Ghatt on Instagram, I am there. JJ Ghatt on Twitter, you'll find me there as well. JJ Ghatt on what else? It'll be Instagram,
Clubhouse.
Instagram, Clubhouse. It's going to be the same. And I try to keep the same picture profile, a yellow background. Even if I change angles or whatever, it's the yellow background for branding purposes. So yeah, you can find me in all those different places. And then jjghatt.com, where I have resources, freebies, information. I have courses, free courses, access, lots of different things on my website, jjghatt.com. So yeah, you can see me at jjghatt.com. And if I were to answer the question of what you should have asked, is people don't realize YouTube is a search platform. That would be the answer. And that also that YouTube is not about you, it's about your audience. And so people mistakenly think it's about them and wonder why they're not growing, because they're doing what they're interested in and what they want to do based on what someone else told them about your family is funny. You all should have it. So even though YouTube channels are centered around a person or a creator or their family, for the most part, unless you're already famous on another platform, no one knows you and no one's going to be looking for you. And so you need to instead create searchable content or content around trends in order to grow pretty fast. Then maybe the third thing is to niche down. People just, they could just do everything. You can't. Like, I have a lot of passions. That's great, but you can do that, but it's gonna be a slow growth. A slow growth for YouTube is to not niche down, to not do searchable trending content, and to not realize that YouTube is a search platform, and you have to search platform for audiences. People search stuff. It's not about you. So that's three things I think that what people don't know, don't ask, and don't realize. So I would ask that, like, what are the three things that people don't know but they should know?
That the you is the viewer, not the creator, right?
Yeah, you don't realize that because you're just like, I'm starting my YouTube channel. And you see people like, I'm so great. My husband's good. My family's cute. Da da da. We can do that. It's kind of like, okay, good luck. I'm sure you can.
It's not the, if you're watching a TV show like on regular television, it's not like the person that's in the TV show. It's not about them. It's about entertaining the audience.
Exactly.
It's about
informing,
the audience,
educating him,
whatever the type of video.
Something, but it's about you, the person on the other side of the screen, not you. And that's a great video I have. What is content? What is content? So if you guys are interested in that concept, is sort of like a macro level of that concept of what you are as a creator, as a content creator, and how it's not about you, I invite you to go look at my What is Content video and JJ Ghatt. Search JJ Ghatt, What is Content. It's about 10 minutes long, but watch it because it's going to give you a nice macro view on what it is as content, what content creators, and what you need to be doing on YouTube. So if you do that, I think that's a great starting point actually for your YouTube journey.
Awesome. So thank you again, JJ, for coming on. I really do appreciate it. I hope that everybody got insane value, because I already got some insane value out of just, being here with you and recording this. And again, I mean, everybody, JJ is an amazing content creator on YouTube, Pinterest, Clubhouse. She has her blog. She has her own website. So look for her on any of those platforms, as well as jjghatt.com. And yeah, I mean, she's an amazing creator. I've had the pleasure of working with her for quite a while now. So definitely look her up. And thank you again, JJ. Bye, everybody.
Thanks for having me. Bye, everyone. Bye, Jonathan. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
If you want to see even more interviews with amazing entrepreneurs, catch up on the Entrepreneurs Toolbox podcast playlist right here.